Hi, welcome to Renee's Kitchen. I've gotten a few questions about kale. So today I'm going to talk about how to cut kale, and I'm going to put together a recipe that I'm actually having for lunch today. And I'm realizing that in the videos I'm always wearing the same thing because I'm always cold, so I'm always wearing a vest and I'm always wearing a scarf. But most days my hair is up. It's not down. There's another. Oh, and the lighting isn't going to be great because this is my real kitchen and it's a real day in January and it's really cold and snowy here, so I'm not getting great light. So bear with me. The kale is green. Everything's going to be fabulous. Okay, so I'm putting my phone. Another setup. I have it in a mug. Okay, so first thing that I wanted to show you, I guess, is that there are three kinds of kale. This is dinosaur kale because it looks really, really a lot like dinosaur skin. And this is just regular curly leaf kale, and this is called red kale. And the red kale is thinner. And then this is really a sturdy kale. And then this is not as sturdy. So I was able to go to Whole Foods yesterday, and I just washed up all my kale and left it, and it's sitting in my little strainer basket here. Okay, so let's prep up some kale. I am using the regular kale. I don't know what they call it. I'm sure regular kale is not the name of it. But this is what it looks like. Has a really thick stem and then little leaves that come off the bottom here. Now you could just go through and pick this off for this kind of kale. And then for this, you can put it in your recipe, you can put it in a salad, you can put it in soup. There's a million things that you can juice it. There's a million things that you can do with kale. So this kind of kale is really easy to, and then there you go. If you don't want that little bit, really it's just taking the stem off. That's really all it is. And if you buy baby kale, you don't even have to do this. Okay, so, and then you can compost those. Now the red kale is very similar, but as you can, that's not a good example. The leaves come off a little bit differently on this one, but the idea is the same. They're pretty easy just to peel apart. So now they're ready to go. You can make kale chips, and with these three varieties of kale, once you see them all together, if you put some kale chips together, that would just look wonderful. The dinosaur kale is, you could pull it off. It does pull off, but you leave a lot on there. So for the dinosaur kale, what I do is same thing for the Swiss chard. I get way up at the top and then I just cut it down. You don't have to, but it cleans it up. You get more. And I'm all about waste not, want not. So that is it for kale. Can you believe how simple that is? Then you can saute it, cut it up, dice it up. I cook mine a little ahead of time. You know what? So I'm gonna go. That's gonna go in front of the camera. Oh, and kale. I have my handy dandy little cheat sheet here on kale. Kale is a anti-inflammatory, and I'm going to talk about that in the Fun Food Friday. So if you want to come back for that, that would be great. It has 2 grams of protein, and it's loaded with amino acids, different amino acids. It has 206% of 1 cup has 206% vitamin A, 134% vitamin C, and 684% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin K. So that's a boatload there. And what I'm going to do now is make my lunch. So I have my pan, toss in some olive oil. I have mushrooms, and I pre-washed those, so I'm just going to kind of rub that bottom around there so he doesn't stick. And portobello mushrooms have 100% of your recommended daily allowance for vitamin D. I didn't know that. That was awesome. Now I'm going to add some polenta. And I make my polenta in my rice cooker. And so this is my polenta in the rice cooker. And I make my polenta by using a 2-to-1 ratio of water to polenta. And it makes, you know, how much is this? I don't know, 3 cups. So if you wanted to, if you're making a bigger batch, then you know, 4 cups of water to 2 cups of polenta. Then I add some Himalayan pink salt. And to keep it vegan, I use this really awesome Earth Balance, has a roasted garlic and herb spread. So when I made the polenta, I added water. You could use broth if you wanted to. Water, polenta, salt, and the garlic spread. And then what I do, I know I'm holding the camera now. I take my polenta with my little scooper, and I put it in there like that. Now I'm going to add some uncooked kale, and just really, like, I actually do kind of, I put the leaves on the outside so it looks like, ends up looking like a little flower, making a little blossom here. Just take that kale. Want some dinosaur kale in here. I'm breaking it off one-handed because I really like the dinosaur kale. Oops. Yeah, if anyone wants to volunteer to come and be my camera person, that'd be great. Okay, so you've got a mushroom, you've got polenta, kale. Now I bought this spicy tomato red sauce, and it is too spicy for the kids, but I really like it, so I dip some bread in it sometimes. Okay, now if you were non-vegan, you could add some cheese on top of this, but I'm not going to. But what I am going to add is a few heirloom tomatoes on top, just because I love tomatoes. Okay, now those are going to go in the oven. I have it preheated to 450, and those will go in for probably 10 minutes or so. I like my mushrooms kind of cooked quite a bit, cooked through at least. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll take pictures of what it looks like afterwards and post it on the blog. Hope this was helpful. Kale is super easy. It's so nutritious. You can cook it in a million different ways. And go out and buy some kale right now. Whatever you're doing, tell your boss you got to leave work because Renee says you got to go buy some kale. Be blessed. Keep cooking.